Erode Venkatappa Ramaswamy, fondly called as Periyar or the Elder, was a great social figure in India, especially in Tamil Nadu. He was a social reformer who worked not just for the reformation of Dalits, giving them self-respect, but also for women, language, rationality, and whatnot. Today, as we celebrate his 141st birthday, let's revisit the life of this multifaceted persona in 10 points and get to know him better. He was born on 17 September 1879 to a Kannada Balija family at Erode in the erstwhile Madras Presidency. He attended school only for 5 years and later joined his father's trade and spent his time listening to the discourse of Vaishnavite gurus who visited his house. He was married at the age of 19 to a girl of 13 years in 1899 and she passed away in 1933, post which he remarried in 1948. Periyar's visit to Kashi in 1904 changed his perspective about the religion that he followed, Hinduism. He was denied entry or a meal in the chowtry, which was exclusively meant for Brahmins. As he wasn't a Brahmin, he tried to disguise his way by donning a fake sacred thread, but was quickly identified because of sporting a moustache and was cruelly thrown out to the streets where he had to eat the leftovers that he found. Post this, Periyar became an atheist and began to challenge the Brahmin dominance in the Hindu religion. In the later stages of his life, he also gave up his surname, Naikar, to get rid of the caste distinction. He played an important role in the freedom movement as well, where he was part of the Indian National Congress since 1919 and was given posts like chairmanship of Erode Municipality Inter-Allied. But his involvements in the activities of the non-cooperation movement got him arrested by the British. He left the Indian National Congress in 1925 as he claimed that the party is catering to the Brahmins as it declined his request for reservation in government jobs and education. In 1925 occurred the Vaikom Satyagraha in Kerala that aimed to provide equality to untouchables and allow them temple entries in the regions of Kerala which had strict provisions. Periyar travelled from Tamil Nadu along with his wife and his followers to extend his support to the movement. He and his wife were immediately arrested but still succeeded in his attempt. He was given the title of Vaikom Veeran by his followers. It must be seen that he denied the orders of Gandhiji, who requested the movement to be purely intra-Hindu and objected any non-Keralite presence in it. Post 1928, he undertook a global tour and visited places including Sri Lanka, Malaya Peninsula, Europe, Russia, and so on. He studied the political system, social thoughts, movements, and progresses of these regions that shaped his political ideologies and eventually gave birth to the self-respect movement. The communist regime seemed fit to him as it aimed to get rid of the social evils in the system. Yet, he did not advocate abolition of private property and capital ownership. On his return, along with his associate, he started a self-respect movement with a dedicated aim to give non-Brahmins a sense of pride based on their Dravidian past. He took an active role in the anti-Hindi protest in Tamil Nadu in 1937 when C. Rajagopalachari became the Chief Minister of Madras Presidency and made Hindi a compulsory language to study in schools. He gave a slogan, Tamil Nadu for Tamilians, and the introduction of Hindi was the introduction of the Aryan culture into the Dravidian culture. As a part of this movement, he opposed the Hindi opposition through the South Indian Liberation Federation, also known as the Justice Party. As time progressed and Hindi opposition became a key part of the Tamil Nadu politics, Periyar led his movements and was arrested several times. Later, in 1939, he took over the leadership of this party due to his mass appeal and vehement opposition of Hindi imposition. In 1944, he renamed the Justice Party as Dravida Kalagam or Dravidian Association, but some opposed it as they wanted to stick to the same old name, hence splinter groups were started. The Dravida Kalagam became the heralder of change in Tamil Nadu, opposing Brahminical hierarchy, untouchability, Hindi opposition. It also gave a voice to the liberation of women, education of women, widow remarriage, orphanages, and so on. All the offshoots of the Dravidian ideology that we see today in Tamil Nadu, like AIA, DMK, DMK, MDMK, PK, hail from the foundation stone laid by Periyar. In 1949, the Justice Party or the Dravida Kalagam was split into the other factor, namely DMK or the Dravida Munnetra Kalagam, which was formed by C.N. Annadurai, who was once the lieutenant of Periyar. The differences arose when Periyar demanded a separate state, but Annadurai was ready to compensate with the government in the centre regarding the same, but asked for an increased independence. Periyar was more inclined towards social reforms than contesting for the election, but some of his followers opined otherwise. And when he remarried in the year 1948 to someone who was 32, when he was 70, they left the Dravida Kalagam and joined the Dravida Munnetra Kalagam. Though our differences, they continue to preach and work on the ideas of Periyar of self-respect and beauty of Tamil language. He got a controversial tag when he organized a procession to Marina in 1956 to burn the pictures of Lord Ram, for which he was jailed. He also stressed on the need to retain English as the official language of India instead of Hindi. On 19 December 1973, he declared a call of action against social injustice, but on 24 December, he died at the age of 94. He was rightly called as a man who does not fit into frames. He heralded the cause of not just Dalits but also women, hence he was called a hardcore feminist. He also spoke about the need to have a community kitchen and childcare center led by the government. To know more about his thoughts and ideologies, you can read Kudi Arasu, a book authored by him. Let's end the video with a statement of his. Not that all the people of the world should act according to my wish, but that come what may, surely in politics and in public life, human justice alone, not justice as prescribed by any epoch or religion, should be imposed. Such is my desire.